I trusted a missile system with my life, and it lost track of time. Okay, so imagine trusting your life to a computer that can count to one properly. Hi, I'm Mark. In 1991, I was a US Army soldier stationed in Iran, Saudi Arabia, during the Gulf War, a war waged by coalition forces from 35 nations, led by the United States against Iraq, in response to Iraq's invasion and annexation of Kuwait. And no, this is not one of those war stories where single-handedly you save the day. This is a story about a missile system, a math problem, and the worst possible group project result imaginable. The Gulf War was tense. Iraq was launching Scud missiles like they were sending angry tweets to everyone in their region. You never really knew where one would land, only that if it landed near you, that was very bad for your long-term health. Every time the sirens went off, you stop whatever you were doing and just wait. That kind of waiting messes with your head, but we weren't totally helpless. We had something modern, something advanced, something called the PATRIOT Missile System. The Patriot was sold to us as the ultimate safety blanket. It can detect, track, and intercept incoming aircraft, drones, cruise missiles, and tactical ballistic missiles. Basically saying, don't worry Mark, the computers got this. And listen, I wanted to believe that. We all did. Because believing in the Patriot meant believing that the sky wouldn't randomly explode us at night. So when the system was running, we slept a little easier. Not great sleep, but better. What we didn't know was the Patriot was quietly struggling with time. Here's where it gets ridiculous. The Patriot tracked missiles by calculating how fast they were moving and how much time had passed. Normal stuff, except the system measured time in tenths of a second. Now, if you're not a computer person, here's the fun part. Computers are bad at decimals, specifically the number 0.1. It can't be represented exactly in binary, so the system rounded it just a tiny bit, so small that engineers basically said, yeah, that's fine, and to be fair, it was fine for a while. The Patriot was designed to be turned off and restarted regularly. In real life, we left it running for days. No restart, no reset. Turned it on for 100 hours, and that tiny rounding error, it didn't stay tiny. It stacked and stacked and stacked. By the time the system had been running long enough, the internal clock was off by a fraction of a second, which doesn't sound scary until you remember missiles move really fast. At the time, a fraction of a second means the system was looking for the missile, hundreds of meters away from where it actually was. February 25, 1991. Sirens went off. Another Scud launched. The Patriot system was active. Radar spinning. Computers computing. Everyone assuming the system would do its thing. Except it didn't. The Patriot didn't intercept the missile. Not because it was broken. Not because it wasn't there, but because it was confidently tracking the wrong spot in the sky. The Scud hit the barracks. 28 soldiers were killed. Almost 100 were injured. And suddenly, all the trust we had in advanced technology turned into a very quiet, very heavy realization. Afterward, investigations found out something that still makes my eye twitch. The system calculated time in tenths of a second using an integer, which was converted to a floating point number. The 24-bit registered caused a small compounding chopping error, leading to a 0.34 second drift after 100 hours. The error was already known. Engineers had discovered the problem. A software patch existed. The fix was real. It just didn't make it to us in time. No dramatic villain, no evil mastermind, just delayed communication, assumptions, and a system everyone thought was good enough. Turns out good enough isn't great when missiles were involved. This wasn't remembered because the technology was primitive. It was remembered because it was modern. This disaster showed the world that software can fail quietly and small errors can kill people. Today, we trust software with everything. Cars drive themselves. AI makes decisions. System acts faster than humans ever could. And every time someone says, it's just a small bug, I think about it at night. So yeah, I survived a missile system failure caused by a rounding error. If there's one lesson here, it's this. Software doesn't need to be evil to be dangerous. It just needs to be wrong logically. And maybe, just maybe, people should never forget that.
Reading this and thinking, so basically the Patriot system was like that one group project where someone did their part but forgot to double check them, and 28 people died. Computers are great, but computers plus assumptions equals nightmare fuel.
Oh, Mark, that's horrifying, but also a perfect case study in SDLC gone wrong. To be honest, it seems like the Patriot team didn't really nail a few critical phases. For example, in requirement analysis, they assumed that the system would only run a few hours at a time, but in the real world, it ran for days. That's a huge mismatch. For testing and validation, they tested it correctly, but not for extended runtime. The tiny rounding errors could have been caught if they stressed it like it would be used. In maintenance and deployment, they literally had a patch ready, but it never got installed in time. Basically, they did the SDLC, just poorly where it counted. It's a textbook example of assumption skill.
I agree, and I can stop thinking about what could have prevented it, like the operational requirements. Force the system to restart every hour. Simple, but it would have kept that tiny rounding error from accumulating. Another is stress testing or long-run simulation. Let the system run for 100 plus hours in testing, not just 1 to 2 hours. The error would have popped up immediately. Then, high-precision map or recalibration. Use floating point or periodic correction so time doesn't drift. They could even do fail-safes where a pop-up warning shows when accuracy drops. Hey, we might be looking 600 meters off target. Operators need to know. Lastly, patch management is an emergency. Known bugs in safety-critical systems equals do not wait. Push updates immediately. TLDR, this was preventable at multiple levels. Scary how much a little rounding error matters when people's lives are on the line.
Reading Mark's story made me think this is less about missiles and more about software responsibility. Engineers can't just assume it'll be fine. Every assumption has consequences. Testing in the lab is not enough. You have to simulate the real world. Maintenance and patching are not optional, especially when people's lives depend on the software. Basically, the Patriot missile failure is a horror story disguised as a coding lesson. Anyone building critical software today, AI, self-driving cars, medical devices, should keep this in mind.
Reading through Mark's story and everyone's replies, this really shows how a software disaster can unfold even when the system is technically working. What happened? The Patriot missile system failed to intercept a Scud missile in Daran during the Gulf War, leading to a direct hit on a US Army barracks. Why it happened? A small rounding error in how the system handled time that is tenths of a second stored with limited precision accumulated because the system was left running for over 100 hours. This caused the radar to track the missile hundreds of meters away from its real position. Impact. 28 soldiers were killed and nearly 100 were injured. Beyond the loss of life, the incident permanently changed how engineers think about safety-critical software. SDLC phase most at fault is requirement analysis. The system was designed with the assumption that it wouldn't run continuously for long periods, which didn't match real combat conditions. This mistake carried over into testing and maintenance. What could have prevented it? Better real-world requirements, long-duration stress testing, periodic time recalibration, forced restarts, clear operator warnings, and faster deployment of the already available patch. This thread really proves one thing. In safety-critical systems, small software assumptions can have deadly consequences.